And not everybody can have Sean Payton, the Washington Post, reporting that the Panthers owner wants to throw everything but the kitchen sink to get him there. But who are the leading candidates to get Payton? And is it really about them offering Payton a job or Payton accepting the job?
I don't know that to be the case regarding the Panthers. I believe David Tepper is someone who is going to be very skeptical of having to give up multiple high draft picks to get a coach on top of paying him top dollar and all the other things that Sean Payton is going to want. Sean's a really good coach. There's a reason that 4 of the 5 teams with vacancies put in slips to interview him and currently have permission here. But when you're evaluating the different potential landing spots in Arizona, which the one team that has not of those 4 scheduled an interview that I'm aware of with Sean Payton to this point, he's going to want to set the personnel operation, and the Cardinals move to hire a new general manager in Mozzie Ossenfort first. That does not seem on paper like a situation that Sean Payton is going to want to get into. Never say never. Seen crazy things happen. In Carolina, I don't know that it's going to line up with working out the trade there, but TBD. Does Sean Payton want to work in a setup with Nick Caserio in Houston? They had a conversation that is certainly still alive, but the one that seems to make the most sense just logically is the Broncos. They interviewed him on Tuesday. He has a strong GM there in George Payton who he probably could work with. That would be an open question about what would happen on the personnel side of things. But he would walk into a situation where everyone hyper-focuses on the Russell Wilson trade and the picks you don't have. Well, Payton's also done a really good job drafting the last 2 years, and he has amassed picks in other deals, whether it was getting 2 threes for Von Miller in a contract year, or was trading Bradley Chubb and getting a 1, among other things, back in return. They're not bereft of resources there. And in terms of the money and the draft picks it would take to get Sean Payton, the Walton Penner ownership group wants to be aggressive. They opened this entire process with 3 coaches on their mind, and it was Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, and Dan Quinn. Harbaugh interviewed, would have liked to continue interviewing and remain a part of that process. The Broncos, though, wanted to run their process, and so eventually Harbaugh got to a point where he said, okay, I'm just going to go back to Michigan instead of waiting around to see what happens here. Sean Payton is still very much alive, and Dan Quinn is set to interview with the Broncos tomorrow in advance of the Cowboys' next playoff game coming up on Sunday. There are certainly some intriguing things about Quinn. He interviewed for the job last year. They ended up going with Nathaniel Hackett instead. He also has a close relationship with George Payton. He's won. He's not won a Super Bowl, but he's been to a Super Bowl. He's had a great deal of success there, and he set a culture on the defensive side of the ball in Dallas. That's a very long-winded answer to your question, but I don't know that to be true about the Panthers, doing whatever it takes. The Broncos, if they decide Payton is their guy, then the price tag in terms of picks or money is not going to stop them.
And Payton, the question is like you said, how much control does he want? I always think of Bill Parcells. I always think about the whole shopping cart thing. He wants to shop for the groceries. And you'd think Payton at this point has so much attention and he's been deified. Maybe it's because he's the best available, but you have to wonder how much control he would want over his personnel.
Well, you have to also remember Sean Payton back in 2006, really flipped that entire organization. The Saints had no winning history. They were coming off of Hurricane Katrina at that time. They, had to completely remodel things in terms of players. They made one, incredible move, bringing in Drew Brees, but there were a lot of other things there that Sean had to fix over the course of time. So he has shown he can do it. He also has taken over that job at, I want to say, 42 or 43 years old. Now he's 59. This is not a 10-year build for Sean. He's one of the best coaches in football. But he's going to want to do it his way and get things in order. And it's not just a matter of, power or control, so to speak, but he's just not going to want to be told, no, we're going to do things this way because that's how we do them here. He's going to want to do things the way that he knows can be successful in the NFL. He has, the pelts on the wall to prove that his way works. So it would be an interesting conversation wherever he would land, because all 4 teams now have general managers in place that have requested him. It'll be interesting to see exactly how that works, because I have no doubt he'd want to bring in one of his own personnel people, even if the existing general manager stays in place. And when you have that dynamic, you run the risk of potentially there being some friction as you try to build the thing.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.